All right, you're live.
We are live. Get us pulled up on the chat here.
Right, let me get right here, get my handy dandy coffee cup in place. Go ahead and grab me a little seat right here.
There you go.
Yeah.
Slide on in here. So, two people watching.
All right, so everyone, welcome to Control Chaos Live. Hope everyone had a great Christmas. I know I did. We were talking earlier. You had a good one.
Had a great one, yes.
So a lot going on. Tonight we're going to be doing our year in review. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff.
A lot has happened in 2017. A lot.
It has been an interesting year, to say the least. In both the paranormal, the scientific community, and just the world in general.
Not to mention just our political system. Look at what else. Whoa.
Very, very political year. I was talking to someone the other day.
Give a shout out real quick to Sam Warriors. He's watching this.
Oh, hey Sam.
Hey Sam.
I was talking to a friend about that. He was saying that there is so much that even apps like Snapchat and things like that had gone political, and that it was everywhere.
YouTube, Google. Facebook, everybody was involved in that, showing one side or the other. Everybody was politically involved this year.
Well, I was even reading a thing here a couple of weeks ago. It was an article I seen that popped up on Facebook about the 2015, 2016, and 2017.
Sarah. Hello, Sarah.
So, hello. That was talking about how they were even politicizing dating sites and things like that. It's crazy. It's everywhere.
You had a Democrat and Republican dating site, like Farmers Only. Right. So RepublicanOnly.com. If you support Trump, I'll date you. If you don't support Trump,
right,
I don't even want to be in the same room with you.
Right.
Boy, that was really
it's crazy.
Is that one of the questions that you consider when dating somebody? What's your political affiliation?
Several years ago, you would hear a lot of people who would say, "I don't care."
You're right, but nowadays
it has really. Politics used to be one of those things that a lot of people didn't really care about, and now it's kind of gone mainstream.
It really has. I think the media has really boosted this election. Not only the election, but what has happened in the aftermath of the election.
Right.
With the false collusion story that is, I got $7 million the taxpayers have spent, haven't found anything on collusion.
Even here in Alabama, and
right,
the Roy Moore, Doug Jones debate,
yes.
And so Doug Jones won the election.
Sure did.
And even
first Democrat elected in what,
25, 30
years. It's been a while.
So even after Doug Jones won, there was even news articles coming out today about Roy Moore trying to file something to put
I saw that.
It's like,
I am a Republican, and I think, we just lost all our viewers right there. Right. Man, I shouldn't have said that on Facebook Live, should I? But no, I'm a Republican.
Send all hate mail.
And hey, Doug Jones, he pulled it off. I have to give the man credit for it. Roy Moore was really actually a terrible candidate to put up there. But that's what happens when you have Mitch McConnell and all those dogs in Congress up there sending money down here on Luther Strange. Trump backed Luther Strange, so did McConnell. And Alabama came out and said, hey, we don't need you interfering. We put Roy Moore, of all people, which probably was the worst thing we possibly could. I didn't put him up there. I wanted Mo Brooks. But still, the Alabama chose Roy Moore. And, of course, here comes Roy Moore with his antics, pulling the gun out,
Right.
talking about the Second Amendment, riding his horse up to vote. I mean, all that is just attention getting. And that's all he was about. And, in a way, I'm kind of glad Doug Jones did win. That will possibly wake up the Republican crowd in Alabama and say, hey, look, we need to get out and vote. Because that's exactly what happened.
Right.
We were just outvoted. Simple as that.
Right.
The Democrats did exactly what they had to do, the groundwork to get the people to the polls.
Absolutely. So even on the even on the local side,
I mean, it has been chaos for week after week. How often do you see Alabama, other than football, college football, all the time, the Tide, this and that? I'm sick of it. Anyway, how often do you see Alabama being in the center of the limelight in the mainstream media? It's very, very seldom.
Yep, it's true. That definitely got us a lot of publicity for the state, but
It did.
not sure how good that was, but we got publicity.
Mm-hmm.
But knock on wood, we'll move forward, make some progress.
Well, I was just just for our Democratic or liberal friends that do watch us, a year later into the Trump presidency, the economy is the stock market 5,000 points higher than what it was. Jobs galore out there. The unemployment rate lower than 17-year low. So some of his policies are actually working. We just got to give the guy a chance. Do I sit straight up in my chair every time I hear Donald Trump speak and start talking off teleprompter? You absolutely right.
Every time they say the words Donald Trump and Twitter together.
Oh my goodness, yes, I know. I don't mind him tweeting. I really don't. I don't mind him tweeting. He just needs to calm down on the tongue lashing that he gives everyone. It's okay to call Congress people out for not voting a certain way.
Maybe they should set up. Okay, I know this goes out to Twitter, so developers, if you're watching this, pay attention here. On his account, I'm not saying don't delete Donald Trump. Don't do that. But maybe put a confirmation button up there. Like, are you sure you want to tweet this? Okay, or cancel.
Exactly.
And you hit okay, then are you really sure you want to tweet this?
Please reread.
Go through about 4 confirmation screens before you.
He does now. I have to tell you, every time I watch him give a speech, and he's doing great. He's doing great, saying what people want to hear and the message he's trying to get out. And then he'll look at the camera and start speaking off the teleprompter. There's a reason why those people wrote that for you. Stay with it. Stick with it, right. Mr. Trump. Because you go off on a tangent, and that's what gets him in trouble with the media all the time. They're looking for anything to attack him on. So, we've had that to listen to for a solid year. So there's a review in politics somewhat.
Yep, it was definitely, I'm pulling out my notes here. That's what I'm doing. No, I'm really tweeting.
Tweeting to the real Donald Trump.
Right, I'm tweeting at real Donald Trump. Are you watching this? There were so many things that happened. A lot of politics. Lots and lots.
Yes. Sam also agrees. He says the most transparent president ever because of Twitter. And it actually got a point there. It really is. You know exactly what is on his mind.
Oh, yeah.
So there's no doubt there, Sam. Thanks for that.
So we're looking kind of at the month of January. Something non-political. Now this is something, given my love for a good practical joke and everything.
Not you, Frank. You're not.
I know this is hard to imagine for anyone else. But Hollyweed.
Hollyweed.
Mm-hmm.
I think I heard a little something about that.
Yeah. New Year's Day, actually, last year, and you can Google this, someone climbed up like 45 feet onto the Hollywood sign that everybody has seen many times,
I remember.
And they put some tarps up and kind of fix it up so that instead of Hollywood, it said Hollyweed. So
Some prankster, of course. He was probably smoking a little bit as he on his way up the side of that hill, I'm sure.
let me see if I can pull up this real quick so that I can zoom in.
I don't think it's going to let you zoom, does it?
But basically, what happened? Yeah, it's not gonna zoom it. It's not gonna cooperate.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, basically, you need to go into Google and just type in Hollyweed and look at the images. It's
pretty funny. It was a great idea for sure.
Yeah,
Because I've seen some of those Hollywood elitists that might need to sit down and roll them one of those little left-handed cigarettes right there.
Something to calm them down.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, the guy. I mean, you got to think that sign you don't really see in a traditional picture how big it really is. I mean, that sign is huge.
Yeah.
And to pull that off, it definitely give him some credit for being creative and absolutely a need for effort on that.
Oh yes. And hey, while we're sitting here talking about Hollywood and that sign, there's a lot of ghost stories associated with the Hollywood sign. And of course, right when we start the show, we get the 4th train in the last hour come by the show station. So give CSX just a minute to lay off the horn. It seems like Thursday nights on the train is just really getting more and more.
It really does. They've been getting crazy with them here lately. Man. But yeah, let me see, where was that? If you've seen the list of notes that I have for tonight, you understand what?
My notes for tonight. This is all I've got. I'm just gonna wing it. Nah, I have a bunch of notes over here myself.
Anybody who knows my memory?
Yes, Frank needs to write everything down.
I'm the reason they make post-it notes. Let me see. I'll pull it up because we had a story of several celebrities that reported some ghostly encounters that were a little unusual, to say the least.
Now, mind you, Frank, this is a PG-13 show, so tread on this subject lightly, please.
We have when I can pull it up because I can't remember their names for anything because it's just a very, very unusual name.
And it's not even in celebrities. It wasn't even celebrity as well. There was a couple of, civilians that was talking about this as well.
Well, Bobby Brown was one.
Bobby Brown was one, yeah.
It was saying that they had sex with a ghost.
Wow.
And there were a couple of athletes who one of them was from the NBA. Who,
yes.
What was his name? The one he.
I can't remember the guy's name. It wasn't.
Is it Meadow World Peace? Something like that.
It was, yes.
Who he?
Yes.
He was talking about. He had some experiences. There was a female skier who her and one of her team ski partners they were staying in this hotel and not in the same room. They were just on the same floor, and she reported having a ghostly violation. I'm thinking how to say this so that any audience can watch.
Yeah.
And she ended up requesting a different room on account of it, and her ski partner, who was on the same floor, like down at the end of the hall, 3 doors down, he was so unraveled by it that they both requested being moved to not only a different room, just a whole different floor.
Yes, that would be.
Um,
That's a little different story there, Frank. We took a little left turn there on that one.
so
We went from politics to Hollywood stars claiming
Right.
sexual encounters with spirits.
right. So you never know what you're going to hear on this show.
Exactly. This is a year-end review, so we're
That,
going
that,
over
that's all.
everything.
That's all we talk about here: politics and ghost sex.
This not necessarily in that order. Not necessarily in that order. We got Pink and Curtis watching tonight. Pink, Curtis, thanks for watching. Hope you're finding some good pointers, some good tips we're putting on here. One thing that was found this year, Frank, was a Viking Warrior.
Yeah.
Was found in Björkö, Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
And they know this was a Viking warrior because it was buried with arrows, swords, and, just a bunch of fighting tools.
Right.
And, well, they did a DNA test on this warrior, and it comes back as being a female.
Mm-hmm. That shook a lot of
It really
traditional
did. That
beliefs
really
there.
made people go back and start looking at the history of the Vikings a lot more and how women were involved in the Viking society at that time. See, a lot of people were saying that back then the Vikings, their women didn't fight.
Mm-hmm.
Very few did, if so. So this was that was a pretty interesting find there.
Yep. That an odd story here, and I think I can actually get the picture to pull up.
You mean technology is actually going to work?
Hopefully. Yeah.
What is that?
We have this. This is a flatworm that went into space, was brought back and studied. Well, something is unusual about this one. After he came back from space, grew a second head. Somehow, the exposure to space actually caused it to
Different levels of gravity and
made it have a head at each end.
that is who would want who pays for this to send worms to space? And
Right. So that is the astronaut worm.
I saw a horror movie that had something like that sliming around and taking over people's bodies. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a scary movie and it looked just like that.
So yeah, that well, strange creatures. You remember also off the coast of Norway earlier this year, they found those strange translucent blobs that they're not sure if it was just like egg sacs floating around
or a new species.
Right.
Yeah. So there's millions of miles of ocean floor that's been uncharted territory.
We know more about outer space than we do our own oceans.
Mm-hmm. Everything's so deep, we can't get down there to it.
Yeah, because if you think, Earth's 70% water, and between the depth and just the vast surface area, and it's really hard. But we know more about space than we do our own oceans.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Sam says radiation could, possibly affected the worm to sprout a head.
When I was looking at that first time, I kept thinking about, you remember The Simpsons?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did you ever see the episode on The Simpsons about the three-eyed fish that had been exposed to the radiation from the nuclear plant where Homer worked?
It was probably Homer's fault that it had a third eye to start with.
Right, he probably hit the wrong
that
button somewhere. Yeah. Also, while we're talking about animals and stuff, this was the first year that a chimpanzee got maternity leave.
We granted maternity leave to a chimpanzee. Mm-hmm. Nothing wrong with that.
So kind of unusual. You don't really think of that much when it comes.
You really don't. I wonder
what had caused them to go ahead and start adopting that. Last year, there was a chimpanzee who had given birth in a zoo. Immediately after giving birth, one of the male chimpanzees comes up, grabs the infant, and eats it.
Mother Nature. Yes.
So now they decided that they're going to do a maternity leave for chimpanzees to keep this from happening again, and put the baby chimp and mother.
And that's one of the reasons why a mother chimpanzee, right before she gives birth, she'll stray away from the group for that reason, so it doesn't,
Right. I think that the zoologists there kind of figured out why the mothers move away now.
Yes, so. No kidding. Sam, I guess Sam wants to hear a little bit about Hillary. We haven't mentioned her at all. Because, I actually wanted to forget, I guess,
Well, now she was spotted in the woods out near Chippewa.
Yeah. And then I think she missed her right turn in Albuquerque and ended up in, I'm telling you, I don't know where she spotted at, plugging her book this time. What happened? I can tell you what happened. Well, you were a terrible candidate too. So.
Well, that's, that's just the way it goes. Every region has their own species and things like. You go into the woods and
Did you call Hillary a species?
Well,
is that what you're comparing?
We'll say breed.
We have it here
she
on
is,
Controlled Chaos.
She is her own breed.
Yes, I would say so.
If you go in the woods in Alabama, you're going to see. You might have an encounter with, black bear.
A tree.
Yeah.
A bunch of trees. Yeah, black bears are starting to become more and more common down here. Nowhere near what they used to be, this last couple of years.
Or North Carolina, you might see caribou.
Right, yeah.
Or deer really common. West Virginia, that's where you go in the woods and see Mothman or aliens abduct you.
Or hear banjos.
Right. Or, and if you're near Chippewa, you wonder in the woods you might see Hillary Clinton, on the next episode of Sightings.
No kidding. We actually capture Hillary stepping behind a tree. But now Hillary, she, actually, as everybody knows, everybody's lived through it there, that she was predicted to win by a landslide. And I think she campaigned on that ego as well. She never really ventured out and talked to many people. She thought she had this in the bag, just like Roy Moore did. He wanted to try to stick to his base more than he wanted to actually reach out to other people. And what happens there is you have people cross over and vote on the other side of the ticket. So you really have to get out and do the footwork in order to get the votes out.
Right. Well, and
not to mention the scandals this lady was involved in. I mean, that in itself should have kept her from being able to run for president.
I think it's time for her to gracefully go into retirement. Because,
she can go into retirement gracefully. She can fall down the steps into retirement. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just playing. I don't want to see any harm done to Hillary, but it's time for her to go for sure.
And the reason I say that she's been on the political scene for so long that, guilty, not guilty, whatever.
Right.
She's been at the right place at the wrong time.
Exactly.
Several times.
Exactly,
and kind of had her name drug into so much that it's really,
And I think the people are starting to see that. Even her own party is starting to see that because they're starting to put more people's names out there besides her who's going to run against Trump in 2020.
Right.
So, but right now I haven't heard too many names that I think that could compete with Trump. As long as he stays on the policies that he was promising during the campaign, I think Trump will be reelected in 2020. I think we'll have another surprise for everyone because everyone thinks that, oh my goodness, everyone's turned against Trump. They're throwing out these polls every day on CNN. Look how many polls they threw at you during the election.
Right.
It had Hillary winning by 15, 20 points. Those are the same polls they're issuing to you today. So it's just another.
Yeah, you really never know.
You can't really go based on polls. Because a lot of people, when they went and voted Trump, they didn't go out and take exit polls. They didn't go on the internet and take polls because they wanted to keep their vote secret. Because there was a lot of turmoil, a lot of violence, a lot of protest rallies at Trump, some of Trump's rallies. So, and I don't blame them. I would have kept quiet too, because I don't want to go out in front of 5,000 people and get in a fight. You know, I could probably take 3/4 of them, but not all 5,000.
Right. Those first 3,000 are going down, but I'm worried about that. But yeah,
and I think we're about to see here in the next year and a half, some of the corrupt, I would say the main one, Uranium One deal. I think this is really fixing to smack a lot of congressmen and a lot of people in the Obama administration right in the mouth, because this was a cover up from the get-go. Embezzlement, all kinds of stuff. So I think once we start investigating, if we can get Jeff Sessions to actually start investigating, we'll be on the bright side, which he actually is. He announced that a couple weeks ago that he's going to start investigating the Uranium One deal.
Right.
So a lot of sketchy activity going on there.
Oh yeah. That is one thing that I would say. You know, no matter.
Tori Yvette says hello. Hey Tori, thanks for watching. Sorry you had to come in on the political rant there. We're just going through a year-end review, and we're trying to catch up on Trump, Hillary, all the good little gushy stories that were out there.
One thing that I'll say that I think is that, you know, most people would agree on, regardless of their political affiliation, is if absolutely nothing else good were to come out of Trump getting elected, it would be the amount of attention shed on Washington.
Exactly.
Shed on the workings and who's doing what kind of side deals are being struck. Because you notice now you're seeing a lot of things coming to light.
It really is, yeah.
And so I think that
he was going to drain the swamp, he's starting to do that. He's starting to show the people what's actually going on in Washington, because we have become complacent with how Washington operates. Simple as that. We don't look into pay attention to what actually is going on.
I think that, you know, I think it's going to be good because you're seeing so much come out for, you know, with people on both sides.
Right, yeah.
And I think it's going to be, you know, in the long run, I think that's going to be good. I think we're going to see a lot more personnel changes on both sides before.
Yes, and I think that's what we need. We need some new faces in Congress. We need some new faces in the House. I think we actually should start and see if we can't get term limits set on Congress and the House. Man.
Speaking of new faces, now that's a face that, you know, we're talking about some strange creatures that were found. You know, the two-headed worm, the strange mystery blobs.
This is crazy.
This is a lizardfish that was discovered.
Whoa. And
it's the deepest ocean predator. And they have just discovered that thing. It looks like something out of one of those movies you would see like on sci-fi late at night.
It actually reminds me of my youngest brother's girlfriend. I think he dated somebody.
Is it the smile?
It was. The smile is what it reminded me of.
So that was a new species discovered.
Yeah. You know, something else that happened this year that not a lot of the public was even made aware of because of the danger of the situation. Two scientists shared that two tiny particles called bottom quarks could fuse together. And they actually tried it. And when they fused together, the reaction could be more powerful than the fusion reaction in a hydrogen bomb right now. So that was something that went on. And then some of you
a lot of
smashing protons and all that. What's the name of that?
The Hadron Collider?
That's it. Yes, that's it right there. I read a little bit about that, and they were actually close to trying to do a test with this thing. I mean, according to the article and the pictures in it, this would look like a high-tech little piece of equipment.
That it is... You know, when you start talking about colliding matter and antimatter and, you know, firing these atoms at the speed of light at each other. It's scary stuff because you really don't know what can.
Exactly. You don't know what kind of energy that thing is going to put off. Not only that, some scientists were thinking that it could possibly open another portal to another dimension somewhere. According to the article that I read, which it kind of started going off the deep end there towards the end, but it had a lot of really good information in between there.
Well,
and they were going to try to smash protons together.
Right.
These scientists were trying to smash nucleons, or actually after they smashed it, produced nucleons. And that's where your nuclear fusion come from.
You know, if you really look and look at the history of the, you know, the Hadron Collider, the firing of protons at one another, and since those have been around, something interesting to think about. And this, you know, isn't in the notes anywhere.
Right, yeah, no.
I'm having to go off memory. But, have you ever heard of the Mandela Effect?
Mandela Effect. I have heard of that, but I have not studied up.
You know, for anyone not familiar with it, the Mandela Effect is basically, you know, a lot of people remember Mandela dying. A lot of people think that he died in prison. A lot of people think that he still, was still alive until just recent. And
he didn't die in prison though, did he? He was actually really Nelson Mandela was. Okay, yeah, I thought.
But died in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people thought that him dying was just recent. And there are different things like the Bernstein Bears. A lot of people would swear that it was spelled and pronounced different. And a lot of this, if you look at the timeline of a lot of events, it seems to go back to about the mid-2000s, where some people theorize that there was some sort of shift. And that's why some people
You talking about time over a
Right.
shift in some kind of dimension to where time was overlapping.
Mm-hmm.
The past was overlapping the future, and you were actually reliving the past. Is that what they're trying to say?
Like almost like there was some type of interdimensional shift that happened where certain events, when you look at history, you'd swear you remembered it this way,
Mm-hmm.
but it actually, according to history, happened another way. And there's a lot of interesting theories out there about that. Some people really believe that that happened, that there was some sort of shift about the time they started colliding,
Right, all these
the atoms and stuff.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of one of those things you get to really thinking about it will keep you up.
It really will. I mean, once you start reading into how these scientists do this kind of stuff, it's really interesting.
Right. I mean, now granted, by nature I'm kind of skeptical, and I don't really like to just throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks.
Right.
But some of this stuff that you come across is kind of interesting. Every once in a while, some of it will make you go,
It really will. And the military has actually developed a weapon that they're rigging to their ships right now that actually does exactly what these scientists were trying to do. They're actually shooting protons out of, and I saw the video of this. It has no flash. All you see is this scope pulls out on a deck. It looks like a big rifle scope, and then all of a sudden that thing flashes just a little bit, and whatever's out there blows up. Just like that. And the military is developing more weapons to rig all their ships with this. And they're actually shooting protons at the enemy. It's pretty cool.
Well, and a lot of the stuff that we've talked about has happened just in January.
I know, yeah.
January last year, or this year, excuse me, was an insane month. You had Obama leaving office, Trump coming into office. You had the mass shooting at the airport. You
Yeah.
had the they did that. That was when the whole Sean Spicer alternative facts thing came out.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Someone
just
else for the media to bash for a little bit.
uh,
Yeah.
there was the Women's March.
Oh yeah. I remember that. Sure do.
That was interesting.
There's
to
been
say
there's
the
been
least.
several women's marches throughout the months here recently. A lot of protests.
But they had, there was that. There was that big avalanche in Italy. There was the Trump travel ban.
Oh yeah, big deal,
Yeah,
big deal. Actually, Supreme Court actually denied it.
Yeah.
Or that wasn't the Supreme Court; it was the Ninth Circuit
Yeah.
that took it out. The first travel ban.
And that's still, ongoing. Like as of just this week, they're still talking about that. Of course, February, Patriots won the Super Bowl.
The Patriots. I'm tired of the Patriots winning the Super Bowl. Kim Jong-un's twin brother was murdered in February.
And that was there's a lot of theories going on that as to who was involved and
and then the murder of his brother. I think it was him himself. I think he was. I don't know. I don't want to speculate. This.
Right. So now something strange finally passed the politics.
Sarah wanted to mention something about the major shift we were just talking about. She said it was a major shift. She said the fence goes through Alabama and 3 or 4 other states actually. It's pretty cool. Yeah, we'll have to get with Sarah about that and find a little more out about that.
That there were in February of this year. There were the 7 Earth-like planets discovered in a solar system that's, in comparison, not too very far from us in space terminology, 39 light years.
Wow. Am I the only one nowadays that misses Pluto?
I miss Pluto.
For years, all my life, coming up through elementary and high school, Pluto was a planet.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden they just take Pluto. Now you're not a planet anymore. Throw him to the side and throw all these other moons and stuff in there. I mean, come on.
It's not. It's definitely not right.
Pluto
doesn't.
He was out there not messing with nobody.
Give the little guy a
break. He may pluck him out and say, "No, you're not a planet no more."
The little guy, he's just out there doing his own thing. He's not bothering nobody.
Not a soul.
And they got a mess. It's sad. Well, I'll tell you that. We grew up in school. We were always taught, 9 planets, blah blah blah. And then you remember there was the big deal about, is there a 10th planet?
Mm-hmm.
If you remember that there was
whether they should call it a planet or a star or.
Well, it was a orbit. It was an orbiting mass that was smaller than Pluto, and it crossed orbits in its path but it kind of, in the way that it revolves, would weave between Pluto and Uranus, and that. How did I know? I can't say Uranus without him getting cracking up.
You just say it. It's like.
Well, that's kind of like that headline that came out this year that says, NASA to probe Uranus for. You remember that one?
I remember that headline. Yes, you actually sent it to me in a text. Yes,
I read that because this is on NASA's website. It says NASA to probe Uranus and search for life. And
Lord.
I was.
There's no life. No, we won't be.
When I read that, I literally was useless for like.
Some people don't pay attention to headlines when they write them. They really need to proofread.
So either the either the editorial team took the day off that day,
I think so. Yes.
or they said no. He got on our nerves last week. We're gonna fix him up this week. But yeah, that was the headline: NASA to probe Uranus in search of.
But yeah, I mean, there has been a lot of discoveries in space this year. I mean, there's several planets. I mean, seems like every other week another planet is being discovered. And not only that, this week or last week, our own federal government stated that UFOs are real. They have been investigating the film that they've had on this UFO encounter a couple of years ago. Took them 3 years to figure out that it might have been a UFO. I wonder how much that cost us taxpayers there. So
if I'm not mistaken, they said that they had spent something like $20 million investigating these UFO.
How do you
planes.
get a job like that?
I don't know, because I need to know where to apply.
No kidding. Yeah, I mean, I can sit there and watch. Yeah, I mean, look, Frank's already got it.
Anybody from NSA is probably watching, I'm sure. Hey, send me a job application.
Absolutely. I can sit there and say, hey, that looks like
just send it to my email. You're already reading it and got it. So, just stick that in there.
Probably, Frank, with some of the stuff you're coming up with, they'll be coming to your house before long to question you over a few things. How did uranium get in your basement? How did plutonium end up in your fridge? Hey, there was a study on the brain this year that came out in an article I read not too long ago that says when humans learn, our brain shrinks and swells as we're learning. Right. And what that is doing is your brain is actually killing neurons. So it's not actually killing brain cells, it's killing neurons in your brain. Basically what that is doing is just getting rid of non-essential information. Stuff that is not affiliated with what you're learning at that time. Another great program that we're studying
that's the reason that I have such a hard time remembering things. That's why I'm so forgetful. There's all this brilliance floating around in here.
Nah, Frank, I think you forget because your gear's got a couple cogs missing out of it. That's why it is. It's like a gearbox. A gearbox is set up to where each
mine's
gear,
a turbocharger.
Each gear has a job to do. The big gear spins, probably the output shaft. And you have a little gear that's here connected to the big gear that reaches down here. You're this gear that's got the bearing out of it. And it's just sitting there flopping around and it hits every now and then as it comes around and works. That's you.
See what I have to deal with here. It reminds me of a story. I'll tell this to everybody because some things are really mean, but too funny to keep to yourself.
Yeah.
There's this guy that we know, definitely not the brightest bulb. On a brightness scale, I would say he'd be right up there with a black light.
Oh wow!
Yeah, a lot of
one of those. Yeah.
We came up with a nickname for him.
Okay.
Smooth Brain.
Smooth Brain.
Yep, Smooth Brain. And it was so funny because, we'd call him Smooth Brain. He thought it was the coolest thing in the world. Loved it. But the joke behind the nickname was, you remember the old saying that every time you learn something, it puts another wrinkle on your brain?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, the reason that we called him Smooth Brain was we said that, his brain was too smooth to catch the knowledge, so it just kind of slid off, and there were no wrinkles there to catch anything. It just slid away. And
go ahead, finish the story.
But it was so funny because, every time we would say, hey, Smooth Brain, what's up? You'd see him, kind of
thinking. It just gets his chest poked out. Did y'all ever tell him that's what it meant?
I don't think so.
Never did.
So as far as I know to this day, he's probably introducing himself as Smooth Brain.
Yeah, Dwayne Smooth Brain Johnson or something like that. Yeah, I'll be darned. Well, that reminds me of a story we done that. We gave it nicknames. out. We had this Native American that worked with us one time. And, you know, he was going around giving everybody nicknames. You know, I had a cool one. I'm not going to tell you what it was, but I'm going to tell you. The other guys, they called him Walking Eagle. Well, by George, that did. It boosted him up. He walked around all day. Yeah, they called me Walking Eagle. Well, this guy let him walk around for about 2 or 3 days there before he actually told him what it meant. And he comes up and I said, I was telling my friend, I said, you might want to go talk to this guy and find out why he calls you Walking Eagle. So he did. He goes up to the guy and asks him, and the guy says, well, the reason why I named you Walking Eagle is because you were so full of crap that you can't fly. So that kind of killed his ego there for a little while. So,
right. I was told once if I had an Indian name, it would be probably Full of Bull.
that's a good one. That fits. It really does.
You don't have to agree with everything.
Hey, I mean, I'm just stating facts, you know, obvious. So it's, I mean, you present that, you show that every Thursday.
Right.
It's not me.
I don't get paid enough for this. So, you know, a little earlier last year, around March, April, you had the WikiLeaks going on.
Oh, yeah, WikiLeaks was a big thing, yes. Something else Hillary blamed for losing the election.
They actually released some of the CIA documents. And we're talking about some of the, some of the methods that they use to gather intelligence, and then a lot of people concerned.
They actually released some of the documents from the JFK assassination too. Of course, they didn't declassify some of them because they thought it would be a safety risk if they did. But still, they did put some out. It didn't give you much more information than what you really knew already. I mean, I didn't read all of them. I just kind of scanned through a few of them there. So, but that came out, something interesting that long ago that we should have had more info on back then than we do now. So.
Right. That so something else. There was a lot politically. There's a lot in the scientific community. There was a lot even in the paranormal community. We had a lot going.
Yeah, sure did. We started this show.
Yeah,
we started this show here in 2017. Yeah.
Well, this year we got to investigate at the. We did in April. We did the paranormal road trip.
Yeah. Where
we investigated the Missouri State Penitentiary. We did the Villisca Axe Murder House in Villisca, Iowa. And if you're interested in how those went, if you look on our YouTube, we actually have videos on there from those investigations. Between that, I've actually got some videos on our Facebook that I need to transfer over to our YouTube.
Yeah.
Because while I was there, I actually did some Facebook Live. One of the things that I did at the Missouri State Penitentiary, which was disappointingly wouldn't work because of the location. Missouri State Penitentiary had a gas chamber, and I went in the gas chamber, and we closed the door and all that, and tried doing an EVP session in there. And I would have done that one live for everyone so they could hear, but
yeah,
when you're in a big metal sealed off container, there is
kind of no service inside that thing yet.
So
it really helps to have a hot spot on you. No, so, most of the places you go into will not have Wi-Fi, will not have power. So you have to actually think about this stuff when you're doing an investigation. Find all this stuff out before you go. For reasons like that, because you'll want to go on Facebook Live, or you'll want to put some kind of evidence out there, and you won't be able to till you get back to
because
service.
Right, because like with me, I love to be able to show whoever's following us on Facebook or whatever,
right.
To show them, hey, okay, this is what I'm seeing as I see it.
Right.
And it's kind of interesting because in doing that, I have there've been several times that people have found things that I missed.
There's been a couple times people that's come back and watched our videos have sent us messages and say, re-watch this video. We saw something that you may have missed or didn't mention. And we've actually went back and found the stuff. And we really appreciate that. We appreciate the public and people that follow us getting involved in what we do.
Well, that's really good too for helping people learn. Like one thing that happened, we we did the old sanatorium out.
Oklahoma.
We did that one
You're
Labor
right,
Day weekend.
Yeah, it was.
And while we were there, that was where we had the pigeon normal activity.
Yeah, all those pigeons.
We're hearing some bangs coming from the top floor, and I go up there to check them out, and there are just pigeons flying everywhere in the building. And that's why you always do a walkthrough. Even if you're investigating at night, you go through during the day and do a good walkthrough while it's daylight where you can see. So because if I hadn't already known they were up there, then I wouldn't have known what was going on there. And not to mention walking up there at night and startling all these pigeons. Would have probably had 5 or 6 of them hit me in the head before I knew what hit me.
Probably change clothes because it's dark and something coming at you in the dark. So it would probably spurred a accidental movement or something.
On that video, when I turn the corner, you just see them flying. There's feathers going everywhere. I mean,
and they're not quiet when they get up to fly. They like to whistle and like almost like quail. If you ever walk through a covey of quail about dusk dark, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. They'll fly up around you and you fall to your knees screaming. Hope nobody sees it. Well, we had this problem last week. You hear that now? We got the train come by earlier. We had 2 or 3 ambulances come by last week. What is it with Thursday nights in Pell City? I don't know what's...
I'm just wondering why I hear more sirens when I'm around you.
That's a good question. That might be something we need to look into a little later. Are they stopping here, Frank?
Kind of looks like it.
Okay, they kept going.
Is that blue lights?
Lord, let's hope not that again. Oh, man. Which is another great feat. Frank was not arrested in the month of December. We didn't get any trespassing warnings. No restraining orders. So that was a great year. No new, wasn't it?
I said no new ones.
No new ones. Okay. Are there some that we should expect?
Possibly. I mean,
Oh man. Frank met his shower quota for the month of December, so the team is really happy about that.
Been a good month.
It really has. December's been great to Frank and C.A.S.P.I.R. But hey, we've got a lot coming up. Especially, we are really looking forward to 2018. We have got some really exciting stuff coming up.
Right.
We're working on some programs to bring you a little bit more involvement into the show.
A few things we can't talk about right now.
Right, a couple things we can't talk about.
Wish we could tell you because it's pretty exciting. But
It is.
There's
It's a
some
little excitement, yeah.
big things coming for next year. It's going to be.
It's going to be an interesting year.
Yeah.
It really will be, and we're looking forward to it every day.
Because I was just looking at the time. I don't think we've got through half of the notes.
I think I got through one paper that I wrote down. That's all I'm going to start writing down is just 2 or 3 things, and then we can talk an hour on 2 or 3 things. I mean,
because there's so much. Well, what we'll have to do is very soon we'll have to hit some of these because some of the stuff is quite fascinating.
it really is. Yeah, we'll just have to settle down and focus and do the show on this certain topic because we'll get off on a tangent. There's no telling where we'll end up in an hour.
Right. I mean, because an hour does go by quick. I mean, I can spend 5 minutes, fidgeting with something.
Leave it to Frank. 6 minutes before the show, though, he pulls a stick
You
out.
thought I wasn't going to break this out before the show was over with tonight.
Everybody,
somebody went to Walmart.
Welcome to Frank's Stick. Welcome to Frank's Stick.
Hey, but isn't this cool? Check it out.
Every single time we do a show, you got to pull your stick out.
Right. Well,
I'm so glad you didn't pull your stick out during last week's episode.
Well, I got a
Christmas special.
You can. People can laugh all they want to. Selfie stick's one of the handiest tools you can have. Because, what's funny is for somebody that has like 4 of these, I think tonight was the first time that we've ever used it for taking a selfie.
Actually, it was. It really was, Frank.
But
Frank put his stick to good use.
Yeah. The handy thing is, these aren't but $5 now. You get them at Walmart for that. Don't pay more than $5.
Most of the time, though, when Frank pulls his stick out, he is gonna
unscrew that. This fits any tripod mount. Put a phone in there, anything. This is an extendable monopod that has a tripod screw on it. You can put anything, anything that's got a tripod mount on it, camera, equipment, audio recorder, flash, anything. So
great piece of equipment there, Frank. You showed it like 4 or 5 times.
It's got a little dangly thing.
I touched your stick. Hang on a second. I don't need to be touching your stick right now. I don't know where that stick's been.
So,
just a warning. Anytime Frank pulls his stick out, he's gonna introduce you to the clap. Okay, so because he's gonna be recording something, and then he's gonna want you to clap 3 times. So the clap is terrible. So,
hey, that's the best way to sync up your audio and video.
It really is. It's a good little,
right. Although
tip.
although the look that I get when I do that, even if they don't hear me say, "Hey," point the camera, "Hey, give me the clap," they just the look of, if I don't get someone to help me, where I sit the camera down, step away from it, and I'm over there. It's.
I am so glad that people were actually watching us and didn't come in at that part right there, us talking about your stick and the clap.
Right.
It's
right. First thing you talk about that, and then I'm sitting over here.
So
they'll be like, "Well, that's the wrong show."
Yeah, I don't think I want to tune in tonight on this part. Yeah, I think Control Chaos is a little above my...
a little too much chaos there.
Yes. We need a little more control part of it here. So,
they probably need some medication to get that under control.
More than likely, and stronger medication, because the medication is there already.
Hey, I tell people all the time, I'm off my meds and on the loose.
We were not made aware of that. CASPIR didn't send a memo to everyone saying that you were off your meds again.
Well, that's because I usually write the memos.
Sam says your clap wasn't synchronized.
That's
clap. Frank never has a normal clap.
It's Mark Zuckerberg's fault. That's what it is.
Mark Zuckerberg. Hey, we'll go with that.
Yep.
Everybody else blame
Zuckerberg. Yeah, he's got to get his crap together. Seriously, I have noticed that in some of our videos on Facebook, that the voice and the photo. Mm-hmm. And now keep in mind, for our Facebook Live, this is literally going straight through my phone. So
we actually have 2 phones that we're staring at, the back side of them. We can't see the screen, so we don't know what's actually going on. The only way I can tell is through this right here. I watch the show and read the comments so we can actually talk to each other. So when anyone sees me looking at my phone, I'm not texting, I'm not ignoring Frank or anything. I'm just actually keeping up with everyone.
I'm playing Words with Friends.
Frank will bust out a golf game. He'll just wander off somewhere.
But for some reason there is a little delay between the audio and the video on Facebook Live. So if you're watching from there, then when I do this, it's probably not going to be in perfect sync.
Probably not.
So right now they're hearing me clap.
They are, yeah. They're getting a dose of the clap too.
Right. So it is already 9 o'clock.
Wow,
So,
it sure
so tonight
is.
has flown by. Appreciate everyone tuning in tonight.
We've had a great time.
Yeah,
We didn't even get through half of the year-end reviews here.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we'll save those notes and we'll retouch on some more of that stuff in some of our upcoming shows. We'll take a couple minutes aside to go over it because it's some of it's just too cool to not talk about.
right, sure is.
But we appreciate everyone tuning into the madness and putting up with us for an hour.
Absolutely, we appreciate everyone taking an hour out of their Thursday night. Come sit down with me and Frank, and we'll fool around a little bit. So
and well, you know, at the first of the year, we started off this year. We were still on the radio, and we were doing paranormalities and ponderings, and we through over the course of the year we wanted to kind of go to something that
a little bit different format.
A little different format, something a little more dynamic. I can talk about something all I want to, but now through this format that we're going to, which is still a work in progress. So,
Sure is.
we appreciate everyone bearing with us from start and, hanging in there with us. But, imagine me trying to just tell you about this
on the radio
versus showing you, so that's why we went to that because, through video, you can hear what we say, but we can take you places and show you for yourself.
Exactly. And a lot of things that we have to talk about is, paranormal related. You actually have to show it to people. People actually have to see it. It's hard to describe some of the equipment we use, some of the situations we get into, and different things like that. So we wanted to bring it to where people can watch us and interact with us at the same time.
Right. And one thing that I will say, I can give this away without talking too much.
Okay.
The past few episodes, it's been me and Donald sitting here and talking about different subjects and everything. Something that's coming in the very, very near future is we will be going. Now, of course, the location we're broadcasting from is one that we've actually investigated before. I will say that. There are some strange things that happen here. Last week, before we set up, we were hearing strange things that we couldn't explain.
Sure
being
was,
moved
yeah.
around here and stuff. In the very near future, we're going to be taking you to some of the locations, and you're going to be, we'll still be talking, giving out information and things, but you're going to see us applying it.
Yes.
So that is coming very soon. We do have that, but most of all, we appreciate you supporting us the way that you have. All
This
through
has actually
2017.
We've actually got a lot more interaction than we actually thought we would actually get off of doing this when we first initially started, and that's what's making us excited about this is that we have a lot of a good following, we have a lot of good comments, a lot of good watchers.
Yeah, well, we'll have people to watch, to see it and everything. I mean, there's, you're why we do it. We want to share with you what we have found and experienced, and be able to help you. Hopefully, you walk away from each episode, aside from shaking your head,
shaking your
our
head,
insanity here,
a little awkward feeling.
Right.
How can those two actually sit there and say that kind of stuff?
But hopefully each week you also leave us some useful information. Just a little
bit.
Not enough to hurt.
Just a little bit. We don't want to give it all away at one time. So,
but we certainly appreciate you supporting us the way you have through 2017 and even in the years before. But in 2017, it's a big thing to see the same people who listen to us on the radio now watching us when we're doing video, because that's a major transition going from one format to another, and
it really is
reformatting the show in and of itself, let alone on a different medium,
and in a short period of time that we got it done.
People have been so supportive of us, been hanging there. We are thankful for you.
Absolutely appreciate your support.
but we will let
We're
everyone
5
get
minutes
to
late.
Yeah, we're already over schedule, but
You have to check back into the jail tonight, right? 9 o'clock. They're going to be looking for you in a minute.
my PO will be.
We let him out 3 hours a night. Anyway, for those that wondered. Anyway.
And they won't let me eat after midnight. And I'm not supposed
to give away it. Oh my goodness, Lord.
But for everyone, we hope you have an awesome 2018, and hope that your new year brings you a lot of happiness, health, wealth, and wisdom. And,
Absolutely.
And we look forward to doing a lot of cool things in this coming year, and look forward to you being there with us when we do it.
They'll be there.
So
I have a good feeling about it. Hey, thanks everyone. Thanks for joining Control Chaos Live episode 8. And we will see you next Thursday at 8 p.m.
Right? And you have a happy new year.
Quit telling people what to do, Frank. You keep telling them to have a good year. Maybe they don't want to have a good year.
Have a good year.
People don't like being told what to do. So while Frank is trying to get the camera turned off and everything, you get to stare at my mug for another 30 seconds until Frank can't find the button. And,
I know it's here somewhere.
Stick his head in front of there. You can see his brain almost there. All right, I think he's getting it this time.
Wait, no. Is it here?
Yeah, oh, Lord. Do I need to write